continue with our class, lots of other people's money, and this session and all of them should be dedicated to Refuah Shlema, dear Rabbi Yaron Reuven Shlita. His name is Yaron Ben Doris, also Yehudis Bas Noach, Ariel Ora Bas Anna, Mimra Sirachel Bas Brandel, David Shlomo Ben Sandra, quick release of Moshe Shmuel Ben Pnina, and he has a hearing tomorrow. Also Atzlacha Rabba of our dear friends Geveres Chana Bas Abraham Avinu and the whole family. So we continue with our class, others people money, and last time we did was it like somewhat introduction. So yeah, the introduction to chapter 2, right? So now we will start. That introduction, that overview was very good, very informative. So now we're going to go to the first big topic. So let me just read these topics. Right. So first topic that we're going to, at least start. I don't think we're going to finish, but at least start. What is Bal Tolin? Right. The 6 Torah commandments. Who must be paid on time? How must the payment be made? How to avoid transgressing Bal Tolin? So as we said in introduction, so paying for services, for employment on time. So B, when Bal Tolin does not apply, worker does not request payment or agree to wait. Employer, next one, employer knows known to pay late, so meaning it was in a sense expected. Employer has no money, okay. Hired by intermediary. It's hired by intermediary, very interesting. And section C, to whom does Bal Tolin apply? Salaried employee, service providers, craftsmen, rentals. And section D, right, applications, child's pay, rounding off the amount, mikvah's fee, water on Shabbos affairs, waiters on Shabbos affairs, sorry. Clothing unprofitable business, full-time maids, nurses, caterers, rentals of recreational equipment, a legal fee for accountant, lawyer, secretary, forgot to pay worker and left. Forgot to pay a worker and left. Okay, so let's start. We start with section A. So what is Bal Tolin? Okay. Right, and it says note. They use Bal Tolin to mean the general prohibition not to pay wages on time. Okay, so again, not to pay wages of time, whether it's wages or some kind of payment, but like Bal Tolin is wages. So commentary. Technically, Bal Tolin refers only to not to delay payment past on. Nevertheless, we use the term in a broader context. There is both not to delay a day worker payment past the dawn, and also not to delay night worker payment past night, whichever is applicable. So it's actually directly from the Torah, and Rashi explained these things. So meaning if it was a day worker, so meaning he works from sunrise until sunset, right? And it's very interesting. I think we learn about laws of the Shema. So he's not obligated to say all the paragraphs of Shema, right? And in olden days, he would say only 3 blessings from Birchas Hamazon, right? To save time of the employer. Today, since employer does not mind if we actually say all of the four paragraphs and plus custom is some extra, but just for us to understand how the Torah is is very precise and not to steal even a minute from this worker. So in the Talmud Brachas they say if somebody is on a tree and he needs to say Shema, he does not have to climb down. So he is picking the figs or something, right? apples, right? So just stay on a tree and stop for a few seconds, or sometimes if you can continue working, yeah, continue working and say Shema, say all the blessings. All right, so number one, six Torah commandments. There are 6 Torah commandments, 5 negative and 1 positive, that deals with the paying workers' wages. Okay, 3 of the commandments direct us not to delay paying him after he finished his work. The other 3 commandments prohibit us from refusing to pay him at all. A worker who finished his job at night must be paid before dawn. A worker who finished his work during the day should be paid before sunset. Okay. In either case, whether the worker finished during the day or night or at night, if the employer pays him on time, he has fulfilled one of 613 mitzvahs of the Torah. Bal Tolin does not carry over or go into effect after the first day. If the employer was, for any reason, exempt from paying at the time the wages when the wages were due, for example, at the first sunset of the first dawn, there will be no Bal Tolin at any future time. Even if the employer intentionally transgressed by not paying when the wages were due on the first sunset, there will be no additional violation of Bal Tolin at each subsequent sunset. Right, so which is very interesting. Continue. For example, one of the exemptions of Bal Tolin if the employer does not have money to pay the worker. After he was exempt at the first sunset due to the lack of the funds, there will be no Bal Tolin in the future, even if he subsequently obtained the money, which is very, very unusual, right? We're going to explain that, and he's very, very careful explaining details, because that's not the case about any other mitzvahs. Okay, I don't want to say any other, but majority of the mitzvahs. Okay, we're going to explain. Beezrat Hashem. So first of all, right? So Bal Tolin. So from the beginning, we're going to review many commentaries. Bal Tolin, generally say that you have to pay him until after a person done his job, until and you have second part of the day. So if he was day worker, you have until the sunrise. If he was a night worker, until the sunset of the next day. So meaning Torah give some window, like in what a person has to pay. Okay, so let's go into details. Again, 6 Torah commandments. There are 6 commandments, 5 negative, 1 positive, that deals with the paying worker his wages. So, and there are different. Just to remind us, there are different types of negative commandments. So meaning that there are some negative commandments for which a person would get malchus, right, lashes, and for some of that he would not get lashes. All right, even though this in another one is negative commandment. And what is the difference? If it's possible to correct this negative commandment by performing positive commandments, so we don't give him lashes. We prefer that he actually does a positive commandment. Okay. Right, in a sense, we cannot give him to punishment. So if he has to pay, so we make him to pay. Okay. There are 3 of these commandments direct us not to delay payment him after he finished his work. Right. So meaning they in the count of 613 commandments, so they are actually like separate. Right. So meaning from sunset until sunset until nightfall. The other 3 commandments prohibit us from refusing to pay him at all. Right. So 3 about when he finish his work, right? Not to delay, and 3 about refusing completely. Okay. So now we're going to details. A worker who finished his job at night must be paid by dawn. Okay, so that's directly from the Torah. The wording is directly from the Torah. So he worked the whole day. By the dawn, we have to pay him. Okay. So again, just to remind us, to put the things into perspective, as we said in introduction, so it depends how we the arrangement between us and this person. For example, if we have arrangement that we're going to pay him weekly, so I'm not obligated to pay him today. So when the time comes, so on Friday afternoon, I'm going to pay him Friday afternoon. Or we said that he's going to be paid any Monday or Wednesday, right? Doesn't matter how we agree, that's it's going to be, or bi-weekly or monthly or annually, right? Some people, for example, it's if the seasonal workers, so it's not annual but seasonally. So the guy comes and he stays with the owner, and basically he does not need like a lot of money, right? The owner provides lodging, the owner provides him with food, some basic needs. So this guy is living rent free. Right. Of course, if he needs money for entertainment, something, yeah, it's a different story. But otherwise, he does not need money, and especially in olden days, especially when they live in a room or a barrack or something with other people. So it's not they would not have a place to hide the money. So they would prefer the employer would keep the money and give them after the season. Right, season over. What is it? Season 1 month to 2 months later, he gets the full amount and he goes home. Right. So again, it depends on the agreement. But in this case, when the Torah brings, like, to simplify a thing, they talk about the daily worker. Daily or nightly, doesn't matter. So night, who is nightly worker. Security, right? Somebody who is guarding our field from thieves, from wild animals, right? Or flock from our wild animals, chickens. Okay, so right, some guardian. Okay, security, right? So we have actually a few people who work in securities. Very interesting. Security meaning not the stack, but security officer. All right. So okay. So from the beginning of the whole sentence, a worker who finished his job at night must be paid before dawn. So we explain only if he's day worker. Okay, and it was this kind of agreement, right? Or it's that's how it is done in the industry. For example, day worker who starts in the morning and finishes working at night, from between the time the 3 stars appears, right? And in the evening until dawn. So night, what is night? Is when 3 stars appear. So of course we have different opinions of which stars is a medium star or bigger stars, but that's different story. It's it's irrelevant, basically. The difference may be half an hour. So okay, but until the dawn, from that time until the dawn. Okay, so he must be paid before dawn. Okay, also a worker who starts and finishes during the night must be paid before dawn. Also, a worker who starts finishes during the night must be paid before dawn. I'm not sure why he's saying that. I think it's before the sunset, but here he said before dawn. Starts with night. Sorry, during the night. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why he said until dawn, but we'll see. Okay. Torah says until the sunset, meaning there is like a window, like a given window for an employer to find the money. Okay. So continue. A worker who finishes. No, it's in the next sentence, so that's why I got confused. I'm not sure why he's saying that. So next sentence it says, a worker who finished his work during the day right, should be paid a worker, I apologize, a worker finishes job at night must be paid before dawn. That's clear. A worker who finishes his work during the day must be paid before the sunset. Right. So finish. I apologize. Finish during the day. Right. So meaning he worked the whole night, finished during the day, so paid before the sunset. So no contradiction. So meaning we give half a day, whatever, 8 hours, 7 hours to employer to pay money. Okay, so commentary says there is a night worker who starts the night exactly and finishes his work during the day. Right. So, I mean, I'm not sure like the language. I would say it like much more clear. But I mean, if you understand what he's talking about, he's 100% correct. So he finished during the day. So meaning start at night and finish during the day. So he said he has until the sunset. Okay, I mean technically it's 100% correct. Okay, so again, night worker who starts the night and finish his work during the day, between the dawn and sunset. Between the dawn and sunset, should be paid before the sunset. Before the sunset. Okay. Also, the worker who starts and finishes his work during the day should be paid before sunset. B'diavad, right? If he was not paid before the sunset, but can still be paid before the nightfall, one must also do so. Okay, so proper before the sunset, but after the fact, before before the nightfall. So he has an hour or so, right? So technically, it's proper to pay him right away, right? Not to delay, not to make this poor person to come back, right? If a person worked for us, like if he finished work, just give him money, go to his working place, give him money, and we'll let him go. But technically, if a person does not have money, so he has this window in which he's allowed to pay. Right, so continue. In either case, whether the worker finished during the day or at night, the employee pays him on time. He's fulfilled one of 613 mitzvahs of the Torah. So meaning, right, even a working person could be fulfilling the Torah, like learning the Torah and fulfilling the Torah. How? Right, to practice, just to pay on time, to be honest in business. So right, even with his honest work, right, a person can fulfill many obligations. Okay, so paying person on time. Commentary. In this instance, where the employer is exempt from the negative commandment, Bal Tolin, he will lose the opportunity to fulfill the positive mitzvah of paying on time. For example, we will learn that if the worker hired by the third party and not by the employer himself, there is no Bal Tolin. In this instance, even if the employer subsequently pays him on time, he will not get the mitzvah. So that's a very interesting idea. So let's try to look into it. Where did we learn about this case? I'm not sure. Maybe it was Kava Yashar, when somebody hired other people through the third parties. We call him shaliach, and shaliach can promise whatever he promised, but that does not mean that if the employer does not authorize him to promise things, so employer does not have to honor. So who has to honor? This shaliach has to honor. He has to pay. Okay, so let's see from the beginning. In instances where employer is exempt from negative commandment Bal Tolin, he will lose the opportunity to fulfill the positive commandment paying on time. So if person, right, it's logical. So if a person hires somebody and he pays that person on time, the worker, so he fulfilled the positive commandment. if he does not pay this worker on time, he's going to transgress negative commandments, Bal Tolin. Okay, so far so good. For example, right? For example, we will learn that the worker hired by a third party and not by employer himself. There is no Bal Tolin. So meaning if a person is hired by somebody else and he's not being paid on time, I'm not sure how this person is going to get paid. Is he going to get paid from employer himself or through the shaliach? I think it's still from employer himself, but the contract or agreement was not between employer and an employee, but it was between shaliach, this third party, and the person. So meaning if employer does not pay on time, he does not transgress the prohibition. On one hand, but on the other hand, he does not. If he pays on time, he does not get a positive mitzvah. Why? Because he is not employer. I mean, the work is done for him, but somebody else actually contracted this person, which is very interesting. So last sentence we said, in this instance, even the employer subsequently pays him on time, he will not get the mitzvah. So it's a separate mitzvah to pay person on time. Bal Tolin, continue, does not carry over or go into effect after the first day. So meaning the person is guilty only once, and there is no effect to continue. So what does it mean? A person, I just got somebody who have a new students and has younger, very nice fellow, and he got his picture, and he has a tattoo on his hand. Okay, before the show, right? It's like if he would have a long sleeve, like button, so you would not see, but here roll up his sleeve around that picture, and then you see tattoo. I'm not sure why people doing it, but maybe I'm going to mention to him, right? So the thing is with this tattoo, so only when person get the tattoo, he transgress. But after he got the tattoo, there is no more prohibition, right? But for example, if somebody does not have circumcision, right? So he's transgressing every second of his life. That's the thing. So every second is another transgression, right? Because this second he did not do circumcision. Maybe at night, maybe it does not apply. He gets some discount. That's my personal thing. I'm not my personal thought, because at night we don't do circumcision. But during the day, when day starts again, he gets this on his head, right? But Bal Tolin is not like that. So it only one time when person is late, he transgressed the. He made a transgression, and even if he delays 10 days later, so he's not going to get 10 averas, only one because of the first day. Okay, so I mean it's very, very interesting. So continue with the text. So let me just start from the beginning so we don't lose anything. Okay, Bal Tolin does not carry over or go into effect after the first day. That's what we just explained. If the employer was, or for any reason is exempt, exempt from paying at the time the wages were due, for example, the first sunset or the first dawn, right? There will be no Bal Tolin at any future time. So in this case, the way I understand, if he was exempt at that time for whatever reason, so he did not get any transgression at all, even for the next day. So right, which is a little unusual. Even the employer intentionally transgresses but not paying when the wages were due on the first sunset. There will be no additional violation Bal Tolin at each subsequent sunset. I mean, he's very, very clear. It's very, very clear. So it's prohibition only once if he he was in position to pay. But if he was not in position to pay, he did not have money for, and it was not his fault. Supplier did not pay him or something. Possible. Okay. So let's see the example that he gave. So example one of the exemption, Bal Tolin, if the employer does not have money to pay the worker. Okay, they did not pay him. They, I don't know, something happened. So it's not like he spent the money. No, he does not have money. After he was exempt at the first sunset, due to lack of the funds, there will be no Bal Tolin in the future. Okay, so meaning, I mean, we understood 100% correctly. So if he was exempt in the first time like this window that was given to him to pay, he was exempt. So now after the 2 hours later he got the money, so he's not obligated to. I mean, if he does not pay, no, he's obligated to pay. But if he does not pay, he's not going to transgress this negative commandment. But positive commandment to pay on time, okay, we'll see. Even if he subsequently obtained the money. So commentary. It is, however, prohibited midrabanan to withhold payment when requested. Discuss the end of section B. So here's a different story. I mean, it's different prohibition. When a person comes and requests money, we must pay him. Okay. So and some people keep quiet, and then they say, yeah, but well, I had this person, this woman reach out to me, and they said, right, her husband worked very hard, right, and he's not being paid, right, and they say, of course, they're religious Jews, and how come, and they know that we're in the struggle and this and that. And he went to vacation, came from vacation, and he behaves like nothing happened. So I said to this lady, I said, look, let me talk to your husband, or pass the message to the husband. He has to remind this, right? He said, he mentioned something before this boss went to vacation. So his head was not there. Okay, let's say he said yes. Like don't see like evil in everybody. Like automatically, just because he's boss, he's automatically rich. If he's went to vacation, for sure he spent all our money. Right? Maybe not. Just ask him. I said to tell your husband to go to the boss and ask him for his salary. Right? Right? He has to pay. Right? Don't assume things. Don't assume. So now, number 2, who must be paid on time? Okay, so let me quickly check what time is it. Okay, so let's do this number 2. Right. So number 2 is short, number 3 is longer. Who must be paid on time? The prohibition Bal Tolin can apply to wages of any worker, whether he is salaried employee, a service provider, for example, waiter, musician, taxi driver. It can apply to the charges of the craftsman, such as appliance repair, plumber, electrician, tailor, or painter. It can apply to the wages or fees of someone hired for the day, for an hour, or even for a single task. Bal Tolin can also apply to rental movable items, for example, chair rentals, and according to many poskim, to building spaces rentals. To build space rentals, for example, building space rental. For example, hotel room and rentals. Okay, so let's see. From the beginning and try to understand. So again, who must be paid on time, right? So as we said, the workers or service providers. The prohibition of Bal Tolin, so meaning paying on time, can apply to wages of any worker. So anybody who did something good to us, basically, not for free, so we have to pay them. Whenever he's a salary employee, right? So somebody's working for us, we have a company or something, right? Service provider, right? waiter, musician, taxi driver. And I heard this, yeah, this musician ask a lot of money. Yes, but when you hired you, like I was arguing with this person, like wicked person, look, yes, he asked a substantial amount of money, but this musician does not perform every day. He's not like a big famous singer, so like a player, right? Musicians. So he performed from time to time, maybe once a week, maybe a few times a month. So that's how he charges. He has to pay his rent. He has to feed his family. I'm sure this money that he makes is not enough. So, and if you agreed initially, so you must pay. I was like, you serious? For why? If you don't want to pay somebody this amount of money, so negotiate it down, like hire somebody else, right? Right. So, but we must pay all these people. Taxi driver, of course. It can apply to charges to craftsmen, such as appliance repair, right? Plumber, electrician, tailor, or painter. So all of these people, and sometimes they know that people do not pay. Right? They say, oh, you charge me such and such. No, I'm not going to pay you, right? Or right, I'm not going to pay you. Unfortunately, that's what the people do, and they give false checks or something, right? Unfortunately, right. Right. It can apply to the wages fee of someone hired for a day, hour, or even single job, right? So for a day, hour, and single job. So you ask him to bring up the refrigerator on the 5th floor without elevator or something, right? Right, we have to pay him, right? Bal Tolin applies to the wages little as 1 pruta. Some poskim rule that it applies even to the lesser pruta. Whoa. So pruta is the lowest coin. So today is the lowest buying currency in the place where you live is going to be pruta. Okay, so meaning must pay him whatever you agreed on. Or sometimes it's they did not agree exactly. It was like a little vague. But in this case, we go by the business practices of the country. And Mishnah Brura, the Holy Chafetz Chaim, that's what he said. Right? We go right. If nothing was said explicitly, right? If you have agreement, we can override the custom of the country. But if not, we assume that that's what it is. Like custom of the country. So when he was writing Mishnah Brura and coming to Shulchan Aruch a long time ago, but it's like normal business practices. I think they call it today. Okay. Or standard business practices. So continue. Bal Tolin can also apply to rental of the movable items, chair rentals. I mean, right. So the guy would say, yeah, why should I pay him so much? He has the chair, so nobody would rent it for him. And it's actually like I was surprised. Just side point of one person. I did not know like there's so many businesses. So this guy was into the chair rental, and he had a big warehouse, different chairs. So there's when that's all he did. He did not do. I mean, maybe table set or nothing else, only chairs, right? And he would deliver chairs, and he would buy chairs, used chairs, fixed chairs. Right, very profitable thing. Okay. So, and according to many other poskim, even rentals, hotel room rentals, and etc. All right. So I think we can stop here. Let's take 5 minutes break, so we cover a lot of material, Baruch Hashem, and we continue with other topics. 5 minutes.